Okay, it is Friday, November 29th, and I'm finally making some progress on the Suburban. Getting ready to get this 350 Vortec pulled out. I got the fan shroud out, a couple small things here and there, took the hood off, got my heat running. It's cold, but we're going to go ahead and get this motor out. Then we can get started putting that one in. Stay tuned. Alright y'all, so here's my first video in the 99 Suburban LS swap I'm going to put up on YouTube, but I got my engine today. It's a LQ4 6-liter out of a 2007 Express van that was wrecked, but it was a reman engine apparently at some time, because you can see it's got the little heat tags on the cylinder head, and I think there's a couple on the block. I'll have to find them, but cool thing about this engine, I got it from a buddy of mine, and he had plans to put this in an OBS dually, but didn't work out. So it's already got the ICT billet SBC clamshell adapter mounts. So that is a huge bonus there. So really the only things you need to get this thing bolted in the GMT 400 chassis are these motor mount adapter plates and this adapter flex plate. So the LS engines and the small block Chevys have different crank spacing, and I could be wrong on this. Like, see, the 6-liter has a crank spacer there, so I might actually be fine running that flex plate, but we're gonna use this adapter one. Comes with bolts and everything, so we're gonna put that in, get the engine on the stand, check it out, and should be good to go. Cool, the little adapter came off with it, so that works out good. So we're going to put the new flex plate on here. Might want to look into getting a rear main for this thing, but for now, I just want to put it on the stand, so we're not going to worry about it. Alright, line our bolt holes up. And this flex plate actually came with new bolts. So we'll get these covered up with some Loctite here and get them on. Alright, well, here's where I'm going to leave off for now. Got the intake off, all the accessories and everything. I always take the intakes off because it makes it a lot easier to get to the bell housing bolts back there. But got the all the upper bell housing bolts off. There's only 3 left holding it in. Then I got to get the torque converter bolts, engine mount bolts, and then just the oil cooler lines. And this thing will be ready to pull. But I'm going to hang it up for the night. I think I've had enough for one day. Alright, it's Saturday, we're back in the garage, got everything unbolted, and we are ready to pull this old 350 out. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then we'll start getting this one ready. Stay tuned. Alright, so I got the motor out, and I wanted to go over a couple small things, right? As far as bolting the engine in, it's pretty simple. There's really not much you need. On this one, I'm using an LQ4 6-liter, and I'm staying with the 99 4L60E. So in order to do that, the crank spacing is actually different from the LS engines to the small block Chevy. The early 6-liters had a long crank, and then I think in 2000 or 2001 they switched over to they had a little spacer here, and I can show you that on this flex plate. This is the 6-liter 4L80E flex plate, and it's got this little spacer guy here on the back of the block. This is basically old spacing. I could probably use this flex plate if the torque converter bolt pattern matched up. I don't know if it would or not, so I ended up getting an adapter one. But here's the adapter flywheel, flex plate, whatever you want to call it. It comes with 2 different patterns. The LS 4L60E has a bigger torque converter than the old style, so you can see the bolt pattern is a little bit further out than the small block Chevy style. So you can use, I think you can use either or. Don't quote me on that, I might be wrong. But yeah, this is an adapter flex plate to use the early transmissions. That gets it bolted up the transmission. To bolt it to the motor mounts, I have these ICT billet swap brackets. Basically has all the bolt holes to use the small block Chevy clamshell style mounts. You can see right there. So really all you got to do is come here with a tape measure. I try to do this with one hand here, but you just got to measure from the back of the bell housing to, let's see, So we're gonna measure to that ear, and you can see, focus, 14 inches. So we just need to get the same spacing on the 6-liter, and that gets the engine bolted up in the OBS chassis. 14 and 14. So sorry if my camera work here is a little shoddy. I'm trying to do 2 things at once, but you get the idea. Just wanted to go over that real quick. But yeah, ICT billet, adapter mounts, and flex plate you can get on eBay. They're like 70 bucks. So I just want to take this little tidbit for y'all that are looking to do this swap, trying to save some money. I matched the 6-liter 4L80E flex plate up to the 5.7 liter, and it looks like, so if you look at this flex plate, it looks like it's got 2 different bolt patterns, right? These bolt holes are a little bit closer to the ring gear than these, right? So these are the ones we need. These are recessed in further. This flex plate matches up with these outer holes here, but not the inner ones. So it's not gonna work. So you're definitely gonna need an adapter flex plate. But I wanted to check that out because I know there's a lot of speculation and stuff on what works and stuff, but it looks like this LS flex plate would not work with that application. So I wanted to put that out there just so nobody's you know, bolting engines up and then discovering they got to pull it back out. Because I've been there before. The first V8 swap I ever did, I put my flywheel in backwards and I had to rip the engine back out, and that was on an S10. That sucked. So anyway, there's that little piece of information for you. Buy the flex plate on eBay. It's $70 and save yourself a headache. All right, so for motor mounts, 2 things I noticed, right? I got these little ICT billet, little adapter plates, right? And measuring out my spacing, it was 14 inches from the back of the bell housing to this ear right here of the motor mount. So to get that spacing, we had to go all the way forward here. So these 3 holes, right? And so these clamshell mounts have like a little bump, right? And these adapters are recessed, but in that position, that little bump is not going to fit into that mount right. So we had to use the little backer plate. That's where the, you know, like the little strut bars go that bolt here down to the bell housing on the small block Chevys. But this bracket here was going to hit this ear on the block, so we chopped this piece off here. Yeah, we cut that off, and now that's going to fit there. And this little bracket here, the clamshell had to notch out this little guy on the bottom for that to fit around this little bolt hole there for the AC compressor. So yeah, there's that. So I'm gonna get this bolted up and do the other side, but I just wanted to show you all that real quick. Don't forget to focus the damn camera. Don't forget your Loctite, folks, all right? There's the motor mount. Bam! Torque spec on these. Good and tight. So that's that side. All bolted up. Okay, so now we're working on the driver's side mount, and that's a problem. So you gotta chop this little doohickey off here, and then that should sit nice and flush. Damn it. More better. Okay, so got this bolted up. One problem. These are supplied bolts from ICT Billet. They're a little bit too short with that spacer plate. So I've been using the factory the factory 53860 truck motor mount bolts. Make sure you keep these out of your donor truck. But this one, it's a bit too long and it's gonna hit the block. So we're gonna go into my magic cluster bomb frickin' bolt bin and see what we can come up with. We found a washer, nice and thick. I think that'll work. It's gonna work. Mint! Okay, so now that that's all said and done, I'll take a quick measurement, get our spacing, see where we're at. And it looks like 13 3/4. So our original measurement was 14 inches. So that means this engine is going to sit 1/4 inch further forward than the small block Chevy did. So it's not much of a difference. I might have to drop the trans cross member and egg the holes out for the the trans mount, but I know we definitely got enough slack in our drive line. That's not going to be an issue at all. So also, while we're aiming this way, do not forget to put that spacer on the torque converter. So that little hub, that little nubby nub there, actually slides in the back of your crankshaft. Why are we still zoomed? And that that's like the dowels in your bell housing. Like, it keeps everything supported and in line. Like, the bolts can only do so much. So do not forget that. Otherwise, your torque converter is going to be unsupported, and it might waller out your freaking front pump and take your transmission out. And I can promise you that is a huge no bueno. So don't forget. I reminded you. So at this point, we've gone over our motor mounts, our adapter flywheel, and that's going to get this engine bolted in that big ugly hole. That's what she said. But now I'm going to go through and do the oil pan gasket, the freaking oil pump, pickup tube O-ring. I was in my train of thought. A couple other things, and then we'll get ready to get this engine dropped in. So that's all the boring stuff. I'm not going to record that because that's just basic maintenance. But next frame will be this engine getting dropped in that there hole. That there one. Right there. All right, so I'm sitting in the engine bay of the Suburban. I got the engine pretty much ready to go in. I got to do a couple of little things, but whatever. But I'm in the engine bay, just getting a couple things ready, and I wanted to go over those things with you guys because you're gonna need to know this when you go to your LS swap. But Vortec guys, this really only applies to you. TVI guys, I'm sorry, I don't really have anything for you for your fuel system, so you're kind of on your own there. But if you're swapping from Vortec 350 to a return style LS truck engine, this will work. So basically what you're going to do, grab yourself a tubing cutter, and then you're going to get in the engine bay. You got your fuel lines here. You got your 3/8 and your 5/16, your pressure in return. So what you're going to do is you're going to take that tubing cutter and cut these ends off here. So cut the end off here and here, and take these flare nuts and you can throw them away. You don't need them. So basically, once you do that, you're going to go down to the auto parts store and you're going to get yourself 2 feet of 3/8 and 2 feet of 5/16 fuel injection hose. And then you want to get some clamps. And basically what you're going to do, you're just going to slide your hose onto the stub here and then double or triple clamp it. And then you're going to get some quick disconnects as well. They make the fuel line quick disconnects. So basically you're going to run your hose out and it's going to come up to your truck intake and go right to your fuel rail. So you get those quick disconnects, you get the rubber hose, and then like I said, that comes right up to the truck intake and connects just like it would in an LS truck. So that pretty much takes care of your fuel lines. You can still use this this bracket here in the bell housing, so you're good there. Speaking of bell housing, all right, you got your trans dipstick. Here's another thing. The LS doesn't use this bell housing bolt, so you're kind of dead in the water for your trans dipstick, right? So what you're going to do is take a 3/8 bolt and drive it in this way, right? So you stick it in this way, and then the thread's going to stick out through your trans dipstick, and then you can also, like you see I got it double nutted, you can also use that for your transmission transfer case vent tube. So the only thing that sucks about this is now your trans dipstick is fixed in place when you go to put the motor in, but you can kind of bend it and manipulate it whatever way you want. So, but other than that, I mean, that's really all you got to do. I'm going to pull the harness out. The wiring's going to be a whole another different thing, but I'm going to pull the harness out, get it out of the way, because we're not going to need the Vortec harness. And then once we get the engine in and exhaust on and all that, then we'll start on wiring. But yeah, that's really all you got to do to get the engine in the truck. So we're going to go ahead and do that now. This engine is made out of engine. Update! Alright, on the garage. Got the little 6-liter here. Pretty much ready to go in. Got the manifolds on. New crank seal in the front, oil pan gasket, oil pump O-ring, exhaust manifold gaskets. Ooh, shiny manifold bolts. New dipstick, tube, flywheel, rear main, all the good stuff. Valve cover gaskets. So she's ready. We got the chain hooked up, about to take it off the engine stand. Did a little bit of beautification under the hood here. Normally, if this was summertime, I'd pull this out of my garage and power wash the crap out of the engine bay, kind of liven it up a little bit. But it's winter, it's like 25 degrees outside, so that is a no bueno. So, yeah, got the ends of those fuel lines lopped off like I was talking about. And then the harness, as far as the harness goes, I think I'm going to have to revisit my plan here. I'm going to get the engine here. I'm going to get the engine in here, but I think what I'm going to do is the OBS harness is kind of tied in with the rest of the chassis. Like, you know, there's a lot that goes in. It's not just an engine harness. So what I'm going to do is tear all the loom off of this harness and then just peel away the wires that I don't need. Like everything for the K1500, all those sensors are going to go bye-bye. So like the knock sensor, the crank sensor, all these plugs here are going to go bye-bye. And then basically what you do is kind of make like a standalone LS harness. So you rip all the crap out of the LS harness that you don't need, keep the engine sensors and all that, and then just tie in what you need to go to the OBS section. LT1 swap has a lot of good information on this, so I don't know if I'm going to go into the detail over the wiring, but that's what it looks like I'm going to have to do. So stay tuned. I'm going to get this motor dropped in there. And we'll go from there. All right, so got exciting news. The engine is finally sitting in the chassis. Didn't film me dropping it in. I don't know, I really didn't feel like it was relevant. So, but it's in there now, sitting on the mounts. It actually sits in there pretty nice. I did notice there's a little bit of a gap between the trans and the bell housing. I don't know if the bolts will draw that up or if I'm going to have to, like I said, notch the cross member out. But I'm getting ready to get underneath and start putting the bell housing bolts in. But it dropped in pretty nice. I had no problems with the manifolds bolted to the engine. Did notice the dipstick. This is a truck dipstick. Gets a little close to that AC line there. This engine came out of a van. Let me see if I have the van dipstick. Oh, right here. The van dipstick actually might fit a little bit better because it comes towards the front of the engine. So keep that in mind, but it looks like the truck dipstick's going to be okay for now. So yeah, she's sitting in good. I'm going to start getting everything bolted up, and then we'll be making some more progress. Okay, so here's what we're looking like. Engine is all bolted in the truck. Motor mounts are done. All the bell housing bolts are in. I'll get back here and show y'all. So you can see the fuel lines. I used one of the factory stud bolts. So we booked the fuel lines back here, and then I was able to secure the wiring harness with that stud. Everything's in place. Yeah, now I'm kind of doing a little bit of wiring here and there and just getting things straightened out, but really no updates for y'all because I don't know, this is just like the mundane like assembly stuff, but as I have more, I'll let y'all know. So I'm doing these fuel lines now. I just wanted to show y'all what I was talking about. So just get yourself foot sections of, you know, 5/16 and 3/8, and then AutoZone or whatever parts store you frequent sells these little Dorman fuel line quick disconnects. So basically these are just going to go and clip right on the back of your fuel rail. So you'll have that neat little factory style setup, and then just take this with some clamps, slide it over that line, bada bing bada boom. Make sure you use these style clamps. Don't use regular like worm gear ones, they will not work. This little nitro 4x4. Don't put these in a 2-wheel drive, it'll blow up. Just kidding. But yeah, that's how you do the fuel lines.